Good evening, good evening. This is a free money making masterclass part 5. Welcome, Mel. Today we're going to talk about assisted property sales. In the last 2 weeks, we talk about property sales. We talk about how to do this strategy without using your own money. However, today we are going to focus on the 5 benefits of assisted property sales. And also we're going to talk about the risks involved, or if you like, the drawbacks when it comes to this strategy. And at the end, I'm going to be answering questions and answers. Okay. So again, let's do a quick recap, shall we? Do you know what is property sales, by the way, Mel? Or is the first time you're coming across this strategy?
Yeah, it's my first time.
That's no worries. 2 weeks ago, I talked about assisted property sales. So what is this strategy about and why is it important? So as you can see from my slide, this is a very powerful strategy to make big lumps of money. And usually you have a time in which you're going to be given the opportunity by the landlord or homeowner to do some refurb. Okay, so this is a way to make good money without you using your own money. Okay, usually the property is in very bad condition, and which means you need to do some refurbishment to bring it back to good condition so we can sell again. Now, I wouldn't recommend you to do this strategy without using a solicitor, which is I call savvy solicitor, who understand about assisted property sales, okay, and how to do it, because otherwise it won't be legally binding. Because if something go back in the future, in the time you're doing the refurb, let's say the seller's his opinion, and then you might lose your time and money. But anyway, we're going to talk about the drawbacks. And again, this is a massive opportunity to make good money without owning the property. Okay, you're helping the seller to sell the property without buying the property yourself. So there are a lot of benefits which I'm going to cover in this video, and also a lot of risks involved, which means you need to know how to minimize this risk. Otherwise, you're going to lose your time and also money. Okay. Again, as I said, legally, you need to have a legal contract drawn by a savvy solicitor who understands about this strategy. Okay. What are the 3 ways you can make money from this strategy, from using assisted property sales? Any idea, Mel?
No, but I did have a question. So is it the idea that if you're using somebody else who will be putting in money, what's I going to say? Is this like when with the council, like if the council has a derelict property, you can use an assisted sale to purchase the property and then refurbish it to sell on. Is that right?
I mean, it's not exactly. You can help someone who have the right to buy through the housing association or council. Maybe the house needs some refurbishment. Yes, you can help them, and then you can put the money to do the refurb. And then, of course, if the person is going to sell the property, and then, or let's say he wants to remortgage, and then you can put the money, let's say £10,000, and then, of course, you can get the money back plus some commissions, because you are helping the seller sell the property who couldn't do it before because he didn't have the budget. You could help any buyer, it can be a council buyer who has the right to buy the house, who cannot do it because they need to put the money and they don't have it. Okay, yeah, it could be related, Mel. Yes. So, but what are the 3 ways in which you can make money, big money? When I say money, big lumps of money using these property sales. So the first way, of course, is using joint venture, JV, if you like. The second way is what I call PLO. PLO stands for purchase lease option, in which I'm going to talk about. And also the third way is called don't buy, refurb, refinance, sell. These are the 3 ways. As you can see, I put a note at the bottom and I said, you need a legal contract drawn by a savvy solicitor. When it comes to property, if you want to control properties and make money from it without owning the property, without putting in a deposit or mortgage, or even though you have bad credit score, you want to use a service solicitor. Usually they're not cheap. They are 1,500 or 2,000, depends on the property type. Let's say if you have like a HMO, I would say it's more expensive than a buy-to-let, because of course the profit is higher. Okay, so you need to make sure you use a solicitor, which I can recommend if that is the case. Okay, so let's talk about joint venture. So what is a joint venture? I put it, a joint venture is in which you're going to use other people's money. Now, other people's money, as you can see, can be anybody, can be your family and friends, can be even a loan from an investor like myself, in which, let's say you have a massive project and then you don't have the money to put towards the deposit. It means I may have to give you a loan. Again, we need a contract drawn by a solicitor, because even though we have the head of terms, it's not legally binding if there is a problem between you and I. So we need to have a proper agreement drawn by the solicitor. Okay, and then of course, if I'm putting the money, you bring in the deal, we might have to split the property 50-50, or maybe we have other agreement in place. And then, of course, you can offer your family good returns. Let's say you have this project and they have some money in the bank. You can offer them like a higher amount than the bank is offering them. Let's say the bank is offering them 1% for the money, and then you might offer 3%, or even sometimes I even offer 4%. If they loan me the money to do the refurb or do a property project. So that's massive opportunity. And the third way is credit cards. This is a massive opportunity. However, most people, they don't know how to use credit cards in the right way. When I say the right way, which means is to make sure you get 0% credit cards, 0% transfer. So which means if you, for example, I have a credit card with £8,000, 0% for 17 months, which means it's like you're going to buy something you're going to pay later in the future. So, which is great opportunity because you're not going to pay any interest in the next over a year. Massive opportunity to do that. So what else? If you want to invest in a property, you don't have the finance. As I said, you can use bridging finance. There are two ways. We have crowd property, which I'm sure I mentioned, Mel, about crowd property, which is a company that was set up by Simon Jushi, who is one of my mentors. The only problem with bridging finance is that it's high interest, okay? It's fast. You know, you can do a refurb very quickly in a matter of weeks. However, we talk about 0% to 1% monthly interest. If you make the maths, 1% of the monthly interest is going to be, as you can see, very high. So you need to be careful about the way you use this. However, it's something that can be useful if the project is going to be in a question of weeks, not a very long project. Otherwise, you're going to end up, spending all your profit. So we need to be careful about this. And also, you can use property elevator. You can pitch for these people, and then they provide bridging finance. Again, the same thing. Be careful about the fees, high fees. This, I would say, if you have no other way to get the money, that's probably a best way to get the money through this crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, crowd property. So, any question about this, Mel?
No. Yeah, I'm just as you're talking, I'm thinking.
Okay, so that's the first way to how to do assisted property sales, or if you like, how to do a project like a flip. You're going to flip the property to another investor, and then you want to add value to the property and then sell it, or if you like, help the vendor to sell the property without putting your own money, because sometimes you don't have the money to carry out the refurb. You can get someone to put the refurb. Let's say you can get someone to put £15,000, and then of course you split the profit, because remember, they say 50% of something is better than 0%, is better than nothing. So why not? And then the second way to do this strategy is using purchase lease option. This is a massive opportunity because with a lease option, I talk about lease option. I don't know if you're aware of what is a lease option, Mel.
Yes, I'm aware. Yeah.
Yes, so this is a massive opportunity in which you're going to use a legal contract to control a property and profit from a property that doesn't belong to you. Okay, so you want to do this in a way that is going to be a win-win, a win for you as an investor and a win to the buyer. It needs to be fair. We cannot take advantage of people. We need to be ethical, honest, with people. So we need to make sure the contract reflects the both interests of the seller and the buyer. And also, of course, with PLO, which is purchase option, we need to be careful because we need to pay a monthly fee, which is called the monthly lease option fee. Let's say you want to buy a car, like what they call buy now, pay later, of course, you're going to be paying every month until you complete all the payments. And then at the end, officially, the car belongs to you. This is the same way. You have to pay a monthly fee, option fee. And also you might have to pay the mortgage or even the maintenance. It depends on the agreement you do with the seller, and also it depends on the benefits you're gonna get. As I said, sometimes a lot of people I speak with, which is like sources, they don't have the money to put they don't have the option fee this monthly. So what I do, I give this money, and then of course we can talk about business and how we can all win. Because sometimes you don't have the money. We need to become creative, because if you're going to borrow the money from the bank, it's going to be high interest. And sometimes it's not so easy to get access to capital, which is sometimes easy for me. So again, we can split the profit 50-50. It's a big opportunity. I've done this in the past, and a lot of sources and the people who don't have the capital. So it's a way for them to get started and make some money. And then the third way to do assisted property sales without using your own money is what they call don't buy, refurb, refinance, and sell. So this is like, it's called don't buy, which means it's definitely you don't want to buy the property. Okay, you want to assist the seller to sell the property, but you definitely don't want to buy. You may have to refurb the property or have the seller to refurb the property. Sometimes the sellers, they don't have the money to put, and then you have to put the money yourself, and then you refinance the property after, and then you sell the property. You have the seller to sell the property, and then you both profit. Okay, of course, you need to share the profit, and plus the seller needs to give you the money you put towards the refurb. Okay, you need to make sure you be careful about that, because it's a win-win, but you need to make sure you're making money from this. So again, this is what I just said. Yes, Mel, you have a question? Yes.
Yes. So with the last point you mentioned,
Yes.
is it a case that the once you have all of this information in a contract, so that you agree beforehand, if you're taking on the refurbishment of the property, that the seller will give you back the cost, the money that you put into the refurbishment, as well. So they and this is after the sale of the property. Is that right? So everything gets legally put into a contract, because obviously there are fees for selling. You still have to pay for solicitors. You still have to pay for stuff like that. So do you, as the person who is doing the refurbishment, do you get involved in that, or do you make that the responsibility of the owner of the property?
I mean, the thing is a great question, Mel. The thing is, the owners, most of the time, they have no clue how to do refurbishment, or they don't have the capital. So, and they cannot sell, and they are under stress, and then they cannot pay the mortgage, or they are not making any money because of the bad conditions. So the question is, the question you're asking me is, I would say definitely is not about the responsibility. The sellers, they don't have the skill. So you as an investor need to have the skill. Now, if you don't have the skill, most of the time, to be honest, I don't have the skill to do refurbishment. I need to get builders on board to do that for me. And you have to pay for that, because you cannot be doing everything. You need to leverage people. So you have to get people on board to do the project. That's why you need to be building your power team. You need to be building solicitors, building builders, building accountants, building investors. You need to do that from day one. Yes.
I understand.
Yes, and everything need to be on the contract. Make sure, because if you're going to put 10,000 to the refurb, this need to be on the contract, because at the end, when you sell the property, the 10,000 is going to be for you, because you put 10,000 plus the commission you're going to get as you are helping the landlord or the homeowner to sell the property. So that depends on the agreement you do. But again, you need to be very strategic and everything on paper, because we don't trust sellers. We need to, we don't want to lose our time or money. Okay, that's very important.
So it's a case that you're making money through the commission, really, because that's where your services for refurbishing and making the sale So it's a commission fee. That's how you make your profit. That's how you make your money. Yes.
Yes, the commission, and plus,
Yeah.
because you are putting the refurb, you can charge some interest on that, because you can tell the seller, you know, I'm putting 10,000. If I put this money 10,000 in the bank, I'm gonna get X percentage. So I'm gonna put this money, plus you have to pay me my 10,000 plus. You know, I'm gonna charge a percentage on that. You know, if the project is gonna take 2 months, 3 months, you want to charge maybe 2%, 3%, depends, plus your commission. So it's going to be the money I'm loaning to the seller to do the refurb. I'm going to charge some interest plus your commission, because you're going to help the seller to sell the property. Maybe you can promote that through auction. Is a good way to sell the property fast, or go to Facebook groups in which you have investors who have access to capital, or they want to buy properties fast. Yes, that's a great question, Mel. Is that clear?
Yeah, that's very clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's continue. So we talk about the strategies. Don't buy, refurb, refinance. Now, we already talked about this. You know, there is not much we can talk about this. We're splitting the profit, the commission. As you can see, you get your commission. The salary finance. Yes, things. I think this is clear about this process. Most people would understand about when you refinance the property, and then the seller would pay you your fees and your commissions, and you also, you know, whatever you agree. Yeah. So any question about this, or shall we move on? Mel.
No, we can move on. We can move
Yeah.
on.
Thank you. So now, what do you think are the benefits when it comes to this strategy? I'm talking about assisted property sales, or don't buy, refurb, and refinance and sell. So any idea about the benefits for the investor? Talk about the investor. Yes.
Well, the benefit of the investor is that they are free to their time is free. So you basically are taking on the responsibility of you know, the refurbishment, and they will see a return on their investment. So the benefits are, for example, the property is done, it gets sold, the seller doesn't have the hassle of getting his hands dirty.
Yeah.
And at the end, his goal is to sell the property, so the property gets sold.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I agree completely. I've got more. So I've got the big ones. Yes. You know, when you buy a property, you most of the time you pay capital gain tax. Yes, it's called CGT. So with this strategy, you're not paying any tax, which is great. Believe me, you don't want to be paying tax, which is, it can be good money. You know, it depends how expensive is the property, and also you don't have to put in any deposit to buy the property. You just are helping the seller to sell the property. You are assisting, as in the strategy is called assisted property sales. You're not paying any deposit, no legal fees, which is can be sometimes high. As I said, sometimes 750 plus VAT. As I said, it depends on if it's a buy-to-let or is HMO, or if it's like a hotel. Oh my God, it depends. They can charge you more, and also no stamp duty tax. And state agent fees. So again, massive opportunity for the investors in terms of tax. You're not paying any money. You're helping someone to sell the property without paying any tax. So what do you think about this? You think it's great, isn't it? Or you think it's not so good?
Oh, that's brilliant. If you don't have to have anything to do with HMRC and tax, because that one is, you know, the little bit of money that you do have or do make, they can basically clean you out.
Yes.
You know.
That's what I'm saying. Remember what I said earlier about the 70, 20, 10. So one of your strategies should be definitely about raising finance and building relationship. That I would say it could be your 70% of the time you should be focusing on raising finance and building relationship. And then 20% of your time could be around your second strategy, which could be deal packaging and sourcing and packaging deals to investors, or learning about this. And then the 10% of your time can be actually focusing on other strategy like assisted property sales, or even can be title split. Remember what we talked earlier about title split. So this is something we can talk in the future. Yes, Mel. Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, title splits. Yeah, that's also another The assisted one I was thinking of, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I always tell people to have 3 strategies because most of these gurus, they don't tell you about, they tell you about to do this one or that one or blah, blah, blah. They don't tell you, okay, you need to have a main strategy, a second strategy, and third strategy. And it depends on your objective. If your objective or your purpose is to generate cash flow quickly, then one of the best strategies is, of course, you already know, is deal packaging and, deal sourcing. But again, to do that, you need to make sure you know how to build a relationship. You need to know how to raise finance. You need to know about lease options. Things like that. So you need to make sure you're educating yourself and building those relationships. So we talk about the benefits for the investor in terms of capital preservation. We talk about, for example, no legal fees, no stamp duty tax, state agent fees, so things like that. But what are the benefits for the vendor? I think you mentioned some of them. They have no hassle. And the good thing, as you can, they say, they get to sell quickly. Of course, because sometimes, when you have a property in bad condition, Mel, I'm sure you would agree, the property can take ages to sell. But with this strategy, the seller is going to sell quickly and move on with their lives, which is, you're going to avoid a lot of hassle and pain for them, which is great. They also will get their asking price. Because sometimes what you can offer, Mel, remember, we are controlling this with a purchase list option. So I'm not going to ask the seller to sell it below market value. They're going to get exactly what they're asking for. Let's say they want 100,000 pounds. Okay, yes, you're going to get 100,000 pounds. So you're not trying to get the house in bad condition at 75,000. You're offering what they want. And then as long as they give you what they want, remember, it's a win-win. And they give you the time to make sure you can do the refurb and also the time to go and try to sell the property on auction or any other places. That's as long as is quickly. So they get the asking price plus some extra cash. Of course, if you tell them you're gonna get 100,000 pounds, and then you have to maybe bribe them a bit more. So plus you get a bit more because you give you the option for 3 months to do all of this. You're gonna get a bit more. So you need to make sure you know what they want, asking them what else you want to make this deal win-win. Also, they get the guaranteed sales agreed. Wow, Mel, with the guaranteed sales agreed, this is when they sign the head of terms. As soon as they sign the head of terms, the buyer believes that the house is finally going to be sold. So as soon as you have this head of terms signed by the seller, which means the time is going to be tickling. If you agree 3 months to have this done or 6 months, you need to make sure you are fast. Otherwise, you need to put a clause in your contract saying that you're going to have like a clause to extend, for example, a bit more if you have some problems. But this you need to have the plan. You need to make sure you think ahead, okay? Because sometimes we underestimate in terms of refurb or selling the deal. You might say, okay, I'm going to take 6 months to sell the property. Sometimes, more of the time, we cannot sell in 6 months. We underestimate. So I would say make sure you put a clause on the contract mention about extending if that's the case and if the seller is okay with that. Okay, is that you think that makes sense? Does it make sense or not?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So thank you. And then stress and pressure is relieved, of course. Stress and pressure because your property is going to be sold. The person is going to take over all the work, and you're going to get the money you want, which is you're not getting the property below market value. You get the property exactly at the price you want, the asking price. This is a massive opportunity because most investors, they try to get the property below market value at 75% below market value. So when you do this strategy, so which means you are eliminating the competition. Okay. Now, what are the risks for the investors? What do you think, Mel? What do you think are one risk for the investor when it comes to assisting the seller to sell the property? Any idea?
I think one of the biggest ones will be the delay. The time it might take to sell the property. If the contract isn't watertight and the investor hasn't covered all the bases in the contract, they could lose out financially if the if the seller, you
Pulls out,
know,
pulls out.
sorry,
If the seller pulls out, if you just
yeah, yeah,
yes, that's one of the massive risks, and we're gonna cover this. That's a great point, and you need to make sure you protect yourself and your investors. That's a great. Thank you for that, Mel. Unfortunately, I don't have Sarah today. It was too late. I think she's busy. But anyway, let's continue. So yeah, definitely, I agree with that. So risks in terms for the investor. So if the vendor changed his mind or her mind, of course, you already spent money and time, and commitment. As I said, you fail to find a buyer because in this time you have 3 months, 6 months. Maybe you're gonna fail to find a buyer on the time agreed. Yes, with a vendor. That's a risk. And then maybe you find a buyer, but then the best offer you will receive is lower than the you expect or the vendor wants. So the vendor say, no, I don't want that, or you say, I don't want that. It's too low. And maybe another big problem, Mel, is sudden death. We talked about this earlier. Remember, if there is death or there is critical illness or divorce, job loss, what happened? What happened with the deal? So we have a couple of problems here. So how do you mitigate? How do you minimize this risk? What do you think is the way to minimize this, Mel? Any idea?
well, you've got to have a good contract in place, and
Yeah,
yeah, I think you've also got to have a buffer yourself as an investor,
yeah,
so that you don't put, literally all your eggs in one basket. That you're not depending solely on that deal, but you have a backup or a or a
yeah.
buffer.
I completely agree. Yeah, spot on. Yes, yes. A contract. Make sure you have a good contract. You have a good solicitor in place that knows about this strategy. It needs, when I talk about a service solicitor, Mel, I'm talking about a solicitor who also is a property investor. We cannot have just a solicitor. You need to make sure he's actively investing property, because you need to be up to date with what's going on the property industry. Yes, so that's very important. So yes, as we said, the vendor can change his mind, and if that's the case, you invest a lot of time, a lot of money. So what can you protect yourself? And then you talk about make sure the contract is correct, things like that. And we mentioned about have a service solicitor. We talk about make sure you have a good solicitor that understand about this strategy, that he can draw the contract, taking into account all these clauses. When I say about the clauses, which clauses I'm talking about? The main concerns of the buyer and the seller. I'm talking about, for example, not the buyer. The seller might say, okay, what happened if I die? What happened if the investor actually, the buyer divorce? So, there are a lot of questions going on the people's mind when they're doing this, and you need to make sure you have those conversations with the seller and ask, do you have any concerns? If they say no, I would say, what if you die or there is any problem in the future? So we need to make sure that they understand that, and there is a clause there. So we need to make sure we have a service solicitor, and also we need to make sure we put clauses that actually reflects the main concerns of both parties, the buyer and the seller. Yes. So hi Sarah, hi, welcome.
Hello.
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 Yes.
Sorry, I'm-
No worries, no worries. So we about to finish 7 minutes. We're gonna have the recording anyway. Sarah, we have Mel, who is a new person on our channel and on our WhatsApp group. Yeah, so welcome, Mel. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello, Mel.
Hi,
Hello.
Sarah.
Pleased to
Hi.
meet you.
Yes, so no worries, Sarah. We're about to finish now. We are about to get the part of the questions. It has been very interactive. We have been talking about the benefits and drawbacks, or if you like, risk of when it comes to assisted property sales. It has been very engaging from Mel's side, and we're reaching the end in which we have some more questions. Now, one question I have for you both is, when do you return the investor's money? If you spend time and money, but the investor decide not to buy the deal. Let's say the investor say, you know what, I'm going to pull out. So what do you do? So when are you going to return the money? What do you think?
I think it depends at what stage the refurbishment might be. So if the investor has already handed over their money and the refurbishment has started, that also needs to be included in the contract
Mhm.
so that in the event that the investor wants to pull out, there's a clause that says, you know, once the money has been handed over and the refurbishment starts, you know, like a, what do you call it, maybe a 14-day before, you know, gives the seller the option to pull out within a particular length of time. And if that time has passed, then and the work begins, then it may be a case that only 50% is returned or something like that. I'm not too familiar with the legal side, but it should be written into the contract, you know, like a.
I completely agree. Any point on that, or shall I continue, Sarah? Any points? I do agree, Mel. Yes. Um,
No, I agree with Mel. I think everything, that's why you need to have a really solid contract in place. And I don't think I think there's a point of no return, and that should be clear in the contract, because if you've spent like £20,000 on a £40,000 refurb and then the seller, the investor wants to pull out, you know, is there insurance to cover that loss? How can you give them their money back? Because the money has been spent.
mhm.
So I think
That need to be in the clause. Yeah, definitely need to be in the clause. Yeah,
yeah,
we agree with
there
that.
needs a cooling off period, but once that's passed and once they're happy with the numbers and the vendor is happy to sell the property and everything's gone through, I don't think they can just do that.
Yeah, I agree. So I've got one thing I say where I don't need return the investors' money. So that's a great statement. So sometimes the investor signs a contract most of the time, and he has X time to complete when it comes to so we have to give the investor time to complete. Now I talk about the reservation fee. This is a small commitment fee. I call it commitment fee, and is not refundable unless he completes. If he does complete the deal within the time, which I call the time to complete the deal, he is going to get his money back. But if he fails to complete, it's a small fee, can be £250. You know, it's just commitment fee. So it is refundable if he continues. It's not refundable if he quit, because that, of course, you invest the time and money. Is fair for you to get some money in the beginning. I'm not talking about because you need to have a time in the beginning, because when is after, let's say, it's X time, which means the investor is committed. So after that time, you won't say, you cannot, the investor cannot pull out, because you know everything's signed on the contract and there is a solicitor involved. So which means if he does pull out, he's going to lose even more. So you might have to structure this in different way if he pull out at later stages, because he signed the contract. He said he was happy to that. So you have to maybe put another fee, so a second fee. I don't know, any other way. In terms of that, another question is: should you take all the fees up front from an investor? Yes or no?
I think it depends. It depends on your structure, your business structure, but I personally would not. I'm happy to see proof of funds that they can actually do the deal, and I'm also happy for them to pay me part of them. And I think there's a way that you can put it in the solicitor can put it in their document in the contract to say, at this point you get the rest, but at least you get your. I don't think you should. Well, some people do. I know some people take them up front, and I suppose it depends on how far and how experienced you are in the industry.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I said. What I said is, I said no. You know, definitely most investors would say is not the right thing to charge investors upfront fee. It is what is fair. I believe is a reservation fee. You can take a reservation fee. It is fair. Now, upfront fee is something different. As we said, refundable fee. Yes, if the investor completes on X time. Yes, yes. I think you should definitely take a reservation fee, a commitment fee, whatever you want to call it. I think that's the case. In terms of what about in terms of sourcing fees? Most people talk about 2% of the fee. I would say I would be happy to pay the 2% fee if someone find me the right property. However, you need to make sure that they know what they're doing, they have experience, and they're fully compliant, and and they have insurance, things like that. But sometimes the sources don't have the money. Of course, you can put the money. We don't have much. I'm afraid we don't have much time because it's the end. So, any questions before we finish, Sarah and Mel?
Well, I just wanted to suggest maybe would Google Meet be better than Zoom, because Zoom is 45 minutes, but I think Google Meet is unlimited.
Okay, I will
Yes, it
check.
is.
I will check. Yeah, I will check if there is a possibility to record also for people to watch after. Yes,
Yeah.
I will. I will
Oh,
consider
okay.
that.
You can't record. I'm not sure you can record Google Meet. I'm not sure.
I
Okay,
think you can.
no worries. Let's continue the conversation in the WhatsApp group. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming.